There is a kind of love that breaks the heart yet enlarges the soul, a love that does not end in union, but in awakening. You may have felt it. Loving someone with every fiber of your being, yet knowing that circumstances, fate, or destiny would never allow you to be with them. For most people, such an experience is a tragedy. But Carl Jung would tell us it is also something else, a revelation. To love in this way is not merely misfortune, but the sign of a rare and extraordinary personality. This speech is not about ordinary love, not about possession, attraction, or comfort. It is about the kind of love that wounds, transforms, and redefines the human spirit. If you have ever loved someone you could not be with, listen closely. It may be that your soul has been chosen for a higher kind of love, a love that awakens you to yourself. Let us explore this mystery through Jung's wisdom. Love beyond possession. In our culture, love is often mistaken for possession. We hear phrases like, "you are mine," or "I can't live without you." This is the common, everyday understanding of love, to have someone, to keep them, to control their presence. But when you love someone you cannot be with, you are forced into a different kind of love. You learn to love without possession. You learn that the essence of the beloved, their voice, their spirit, their memory, can be cherished without needing to own it. Carl Jung taught that the soul's capacity for love is revealed not in possession, but in freedom. To love without possession means you have touched the essence of eros, the divine spark of love that is not bound by circumstance. And here lies the mark of rarity. Most people cannot endure this. They demand their love be reciprocated, realized, and made tangible. Rare souls, however, have the strength to love in silence, to hold in the heart what cannot be held in the hand. This is not weakness. It is transcendence. It is proof that your love is not chained to the ego's hunger, but connected to the deeper currents of the psyche. To love beyond possession is to know the secret, that love is not something we own. Love is something we are. The capacity for depth, to love someone you cannot be with, is to descend into depth. It is not shallow, casual, or convenient. It is not about fleeting attraction. It is about an experience that grips you, transforms you, and refuses to let go. Carl Jung believed that some souls are tuned to deeper frequencies of existence. These souls cannot be satisfied with surface-level attachments. They do not merely want comfort, they want meaning. They do not seek distraction, they seek transformation. When such a soul encounters love it cannot have, the pain is immense, yes, but so is the depth it awakens. For the ordinary personality, love denied leads to despair or anger. But for the rare personality, it leads to reflection, introspection, and expansion of the inner world. You feel everything more deeply. The loss, the yearning, the beauty of what might have been. All of it sinks into your unconscious, feeding imagination, dreams, and inner growth. You become aware that your heart is not shallow soil, but an ocean. This is the second sign of a rare personality, the ability to endure the oceanic depths of longing without drowning. Most flee from such depths. You remain. Encounter with the anima, or animus Jung, taught that every person carries within them an inner opposite. The anima, the inner feminine within men, and the animus, the inner masculine within women. Often when we fall in love, we are not simply loving another person. We are encountering a reflection of our own inner world. When you love someone you cannot be with, Jung would say it is often because they embody your inner image, your anima or animus. They awaken something in you that has always been hidden. They become the mirror through which you see your deeper self. This is why the bond feels unshakable. It is not merely about them as a person. It is about what they symbolize in your psyche. They are a living doorway into your unconscious, into parts of yourself you never knew existed. The tragedy of not being able to be with them is, paradoxically, also a gift. For though you may lose them outwardly, you gain them inwardly. Their image lives within you, shaping your creativity, your dreams, your art, and your growth. This is not ordinary love. It is archetypal love. It is the kind of love that shakes your foundations and forces you into contact with your own soul. Only rare personalities are chosen to bear such an encounter. Pain as initiation, let us be honest. Loving someone you cannot be with is pain. It is longing, emptiness, and unfulfilled desire. But Jung would remind us, pain is not always punishment. Sometimes it is initiation. Ordinary souls run from pain, medicate it, distract themselves, or harden their hearts against it. Rare souls, however, endure. They allow the pain to carve them open, to initiate them into deeper understanding. To love and lose is to be torn apart. But in that tearing, something greater emerges. Jung compared this to the alchemical process, the burning away of what is false to reveal the gold within. If you are capable of holding such pain without letting it destroy you, it means you possess rare strength. It means you are undergoing a rite of passage, moving beyond the childish demands of the ego into the maturity of the soul. The pain of love denied is the fire that initiates you into wisdom. And that wisdom cannot be bought, learned, or faked. It can only be lived. The mystery of unfulfilled desire. What happens to unfulfilled love? For most, it rots into bitterness, anger, or despair. But for rare personalities, it transforms. It becomes the seed of creativity, art, and spiritual growth. Jung observed that longing, when transmuted, becomes a source of imagination. The poet who writes of unfulfilled love, the musician who composes songs of longing, the mystic who channels yearning into prayer, all are transforming desire into higher forms. If you have loved someone you could not be with, you know this. Their absence haunts you, but it also inspires you. Their memory lives in your heart as a flame that never dies. And in that flame you discover new dimensions of yourself. Unfulfilled desire does not weaken the rare soul, it sharpens it. It makes you more human, more compassionate, more capable of seeing beauty even in sorrow. This is the great mystery. What the ego sees as loss, the soul transforms into treasure. What could not be lived outwardly becomes immortal inwardly. The shadow of attachment, one of Jung's most profound teachings, is that every human carries a shadow, the hidden, unacknowledged parts of the self. In love, this shadow often emerges as attachment. The ego whispers, if I love them, I must have them. If they are not mine, then my love has failed. But when you encounter a love that cannot be possessed, you are forced to confront this shadow. You must ask yourself, do I love them for who they are or for what they give me? To release someone you truly love is to shine light on the shadow of attachment. It is to discover that love is not about grasping or owning, but about honoring the freedom of the other soul. This recognition is not easy. It breaks the ego, for the ego always wants to clutch and control. Rare personalities are those who can love without turning love into a prison. They understand what most cannot, that the beloved is not an object, not a possession, not an extension of the self. They are a free being with their own destiny, their own path. To see this and still love is an act of rare maturity. It means you are no longer chained to the shadow of attachment. You have stepped into the realm of unconditional love, love that does not seek to consume, but to bless. Rare resilience. The human heart, when broken, often hardens. Many who experience love, they cannot have choose bitterness, cynicism, or detachment as armor. They tell themselves, never again. I will not allow myself to feel so deeply. But Jung would say that such a choice is the mark of a shallow soul. Rare personalities, in contrast, reveal themselves in their resilience. They do not allow heartbreak to make them smaller. Instead, they allow it to make them larger, to love without reward, to endure without collapse, to hold tenderness even in the face of rejection. This is a rare strength. It means your love is not conditional on outcome. It is rooted in the depths of your being. Think of the oak tree in a storm. The winds batter it, the rains drench it, but its roots only dig deeper. So it is with the rare soul who endures unfulfilled love. The storm does not destroy them. It makes them unshakable. This resilience is not born of denial or numbness. It is born of a willingness to remain vulnerable, even when vulnerability hurts. Rare souls are resilient not because they are hard, but because they are open. The alchemy of longing for Jung, psychology was never just science. It was alchemy, the art of turning base metals into gold. And love unfulfilled is perhaps the greatest alchemical fire of all. The ordinary soul, when denied love, is consumed by longing. They become prisoners of their desire, repeating it endlessly like a curse. But the rare soul knows how to transform longing into gold. This transformation is not easy. It requires patience, suffering, and vision. Yet out of the fire of unfulfilled desire comes wisdom, creativity, and spiritual clarity. The longing that once seemed unbearable becomes the fuel for inner growth. Think of the poet who transforms heartbreak into verse that touches millions. Think of the mystic who turns the agony of separation into a yearning for God. Think of the artist who channels impossible love into beauty that outlives centuries. This is the alchemy of longing, turning personal loss into universal meaning. It is the rarest kind of transformation, and only certain souls are capable of it. To undergo this alchemy is to discover that love denied is not wasted. It becomes eternal, woven into the very fabric of your being, shaping you into something greater than you were before. The soul's higher calling Jung often spoke of individuation, the process by which a person becomes whole, aligning with the true self rather than the ego's desires. Sometimes, the soul calls us to this higher path through experiences we least expect. Unfulfilled love can be such a calling. At first it feels like pure tragedy. The heart cries, "Why would fate let me love someone I cannot have?" But if you look deeper, you may realize this experience was never about possession at all. It was about awakening. The beloved becomes a catalyst. Through them, you are pulled beyond the ordinary limits of your personality. They force you to confront your depth, your shadow, your longing, your resilience. They awaken dimensions of your soul that would have remained asleep otherwise. It may be that the purpose of this love was never to unite two people outwardly, but to unite you inwardly with your own soul. The beloved was the spark, the symbol, the messenger of your own inner transformation. Rare personalities recognize this truth. They do not reduce love to circumstance. They see love as destiny, a spiritual event that shapes their path, even if it never fulfills the ego's desires. Love is liberation. The final and perhaps rarest realization is this: true love liberates. If your love chains another, it is not love but possession. If your love demands, manipulates, or controls, it is not love but fear. Rare souls discover the opposite, that to love is to set free. When you can say, "I love you and I release you. I love you and I want you to follow your destiny, even if it is not with me," you have reached the highest form of love. This is not weakness but strength. It is not loss, but liberation. Jung would say that such love is a sign you are approaching individuation. The realization that love is not about filling the ego's emptiness, but about revealing the fullness of the self. To love without chains, to bless without ownership, to let the beloved go and still carry them in your heart. This is love as liberation, and it is the signature of a rare personality. Closing words: if you have ever loved someone you could not be with, know this: you are not broken. You are not unlucky. You are not cursed. You are chosen. Chosen to experience love in its most transformative form. Chosen to endure depth, shadow, pain, longing, resilience, alchemy, and liberation. Chosen to grow into a soul that does not merely seek love but becomes love. Carl Jung reminds us that the greatest loves are not always those that are fulfilled outwardly. Sometimes the greatest loves are those that awaken us inwardly. So if you loved someone you could not be with, take heart. It is not the end of love. It is the beginning of wisdom. And in that wisdom you will find that nothing is ever truly lost. Love, even unfulfilled, is eternal, and so are you. The silence that speaks. There is a kind of silence that follows unfulfilled love. Not the silence of indifference, but the silence of reverence. You may not exchange words with the one you loved, yet inside, the dialogue never ends. Carl Jung would remind us that silence has its own language. When you cannot be with the beloved, every memory becomes a word, every dream a sentence, every unspoken thought a hidden poem. Ordinary souls fill the silence with noise, distractions, shallow pleasures, or bitterness. But the rare soul listens to the silence. They discover that silence is not empty. It is full of meaning, full of echoes from the unconscious. To carry such silence is to carry an invisible thread. It does not strangle. It connects. It is the proof that love is not bound to time, not dependent on presence, not destroyed by distance. This ability to honor silence, without demanding constant reassurance, is another sign of a rare personality. It is the soul's way of saying, "I do not need the world to validate my love. My love is real enough to live in silence." The mirror of the soul: when you love someone you cannot have, you are forced to look inwards. You begin to ask, what was it about them that shook me so deeply? What did they awaken in me that no one else could? Jung believed that the beloved often serves as a mirror of the soul. They reflect back to you what you have not yet seen within yourself. Their courage may awaken your hidden bravery. Their tenderness may remind you of your own neglected softness. Their wisdom may echo the wisdom that lies dormant in you. This is why losing them outwardly does not mean losing them entirely. For what they awakened in, you cannot be taken away. They leave a permanent imprint, not just in your heart, but in your very being. Most people, when denied love, become fixated on the person. The rare soul sees beyond the surface and realizes it was never just about them. It was about what my soul needed to see in its own reflection. This is not denial. It is revelation. For when you realize the beloved was a mirror, you understand that their absence cannot erase the truths they revealed within you. The mirror may be gone, but the image remains. Transcending time and space, ordinary love demands presence, touch, voice, closeness. But rare love proves something greater, that love can transcend time and space. If you have ever loved someone you could not be with, you know this truth. Even when years pass, even when oceans separate, even when life builds walls of impossibility, the love still lingers. Not as obsession, but as quiet constancy. Jung would say that this is because archetypal love belongs not to the ego, but to the self, and the self is timeless. When love is born at this level, it does not die with distance. It becomes woven into the eternal fabric of your psyche. This is why rare souls are often accused of being too intense. They do not forget easily. They do not move on in shallow ways. Their love exists beyond the ordinary measures of time. It is not that they cannot let go. It is that their love has transcended the very need to let go. It has become part of who they are, a timeless presence that accompanies them wherever they go. The creative fire of the wounded heart unfulfilled love is not wasted energy. For the rare personality, it becomes a creative fire. Think of history's greatest poets, musicians, and visionaries. How many of them wrote their masterpieces out of longing, out of heartbreak, out of love that could not be lived? Their pain became beauty. Their wound became art. Jung believed this was no accident. The psyche, when denied outward fulfillment, seeks inner expression. What cannot be lived in the world is lived in imagination, in dream, in creation. If you loved someone you could not be with, you carry within you the same fire. You may not write poetry or paint canvases, but your very way of being becomes infused with depth, compassion, and beauty. Your wound becomes your gift. Your longing becomes your wisdom. Your heartbreak becomes your contribution to the world. This is the paradox. What seems like failure in love becomes success in life. For the fire of your wounded heart lights not only your path, but the paths of others who wander in darkness, the rarest gift, becoming love itself. In the end, the rare soul learns the rarest lesson, that love is not something you receive. It is something you become. The ordinary person spends their life chasing love, needing it from others to feel whole. The rare soul, forged by the fire of impossible love, discovers that love is not outside. It is within. Jung called this the journey of individuation, the integration of the self. When you love someone you cannot have, and yet you continue to love without bitterness, without possession, without despair, you have crossed into the realm of becoming love itself. It no longer matters whether the beloved is near or far, attainable or lost. Your heart has become a fountain that flows on its own. You love not because you are given love, but because you are love. This is the final sign of a rare personality, to endure the greatest sorrow of love denied, and to transmute it into the greatest treasure, a love that is free, eternal, and unconditional. Closing reflections. So if you have ever loved someone you could not be with, know this. Your silence is not emptiness. It is sacred. Your longing is not weakness. It is reflection. Your love is not bound to time. It is eternal. Your heartbreak is not destruction. It is creation. And your pain is not punishment. It is transformation. Carl Jung reminds us that the rarest souls are not those who are loved by many, but those who learn to become love itself, to love without possession, to endure without collapse, to create from longing, to mirror the soul, to become timeless. These are the signs that you are not ordinary. You are rare, and perhaps in the grand design of life this was always the point. Not to win the beloved, but to awaken the beloved within, the eternal self, the source of love that no separation can ever take away.